This video will describe the two bookbinding processes of rounding and backing. People starting out in bookbinding can find these processes confusing, as you will often hear about a book being rounded and backed like it's a single process. But they are very much two separate processes. You can round a book and not back it, but all books that are backed are first rounded. Okay, maybe there are some unusual structures out there that I'm not familiar with, but I don't know what they are if they exist. Rounding is shaping the spine of the book so it has an arc shape which is transferred to the foredge. Backing is putting shoulders on the spine of a book which the cover boards fit up against. A well-known example of a book that is rounded and not backed is the springback, where the shoulders would get in the way of the spring covering the spine. Medieval books were rounded, and the inside of the boards would be shaped to accommodate the swell. Why round a book? After sewing a book, the spine is thicker than the foredge due to the addition of the thread inside the sections. This is called swell. But we don't want a wedge-shaped book, we want the boards to be parallel. By rounding the book, the rows of thread inside the sections are not sitting directly on top of each other. In the spine region now, there is only two thicknesses of thread adding to the thickness of the book, and some of this can be reduced by soft thread being flattened slightly, or the paper absorbing some of the thread thickness. By rounding the book, the swell is distributed, and there is usually only a small amount of residual swell. What if your book has little to no swell? Presumably you designed the book this way, in which case you're probably deliberately making a flat back book. With no swell, there's no need or other reason to round a book. Another way of thinking about it is, if you want to make a flat back book, you need to design it so there's little to no swell by either using thicker sections or thinner thread. Rounding is done after the spine is glued and the foredge has been trimmed. Because the spine must change shape, the adhesive on the spine needs some flexibility. The common adhesive used for gluing the spine is PVA or EVA, and prior to the development of this synthetic adhesive, it was hide glue or something similar. PVA has some flexibility after drying, but the best results are obtained if the rounding is done before the adhesive has completely set. PVA does soften with heat, so if the book has been left for a few days, a bit of gentle heat from a hairdryer will help with rounding. The traditional goal in rounding is to achieve 1/3 of a circle. To achieve this rounding, the spine requires sufficient swell. The swell provides the extra length required for the spine to produce an arc that has a length longer than the width of the text. 20 to 30% swell is sufficient to round and back a book to the 1/3 circle goal. Some time ago, a clever person posted some maths on Reddit that demonstrated why the 20 to 30% swell is ideal for achieving the 1/3 of a circle of round. Mathematics and bookbinding, does it get any better? Links in the description below if you want to learn more about this. Do you need to round to a 1/3 of a circle? The answer is no. Eric Burdett has a nice passage on the amount of rounding. It is largely a matter of taste just how rounded in shape the back of a book should be, but there are certain functional considerations to be borne in mind. The almost flat back beloved of Cobden Sanderson must be very well contrived if it is to retain its shape in use and not become slightly concave. It has, however, the merit of allowing the spine lettering and decoration to be seen at a glance. This cannot be said of the very full rounded book which, although it will keep a good shape on the shelves, is more liable to break down at the spine. It is important that the rows of kettle stitches that link the sections can stretch and allow rounding and backing. One of the main mistakes for people starting out is to over-tighten kettle stitches, which can make rounding and backing almost impossible. Actually, over-tightening kettle stitches is easy to do even by experienced binders, and I'm regularly guilty of it. The classic method for rounding is to moisten the fingers of your left hand, assuming you're right-handed, put your thumb into the foredge round and draw the top of the book with your fingers away from the spine while gently striking the upper part of the spine with a hammer. I was told to use downward glancing blows, but I know experienced binders that hammer at the spine like they're hammering a nail. I believe the glancing blows are better because I think there is more downward force applied at the same time as the lateral force, providing more frictional force between the sections, which drags the sections below in the correct direction, and it is less likely that the sections will shoot forward, breaking the glue on the spine. The book is flipped between front and back until the desired round is achieved. Another method I've been shown, which is gentler, is to lift the foredge up, which causes the pages to fan out. Grip the foredge tightly in this fanned shape and push the foredge down onto the bench. This forces the upper sections to be pulled towards the foredge. Flip the book and repeat. Keep doing this until the desired round is achieved. Unless you are using a very flexible glue on the spine, this method usually can't achieve a strong round. For a gentle round, this method often works fine. It's also good for thin books. Why back a book? It provides structural strength to the book, stopping the book block sagging forward in the boards. It works in a similar manner to a stone arch, where the stones are now the back of the sections, the boards are the pillar that hold up the arch, and the shoulders are the part of the arch directly above the pillars, or boards in a book. Of course, a book will only sag if it has squares, the part of the board that extends past the book block. Squares became the norm once books started to be shelved vertically. Backing is a relatively recent addition to books. Machines are not very good at backing mass-produced books. Modern hardback books have little to no backing and usually minimal rounding. Sagging of a modern machine-made book is to be expected. Cheap comes with the price. The traditional method of backing a book uses wedge-shaped backing boards, a strong laying or lying press, and a backing hammer. This is how you get the strong 90-degree shoulders. Having put the book between the backing boards in the press, doing up the press, the book starts to back itself. The wedge-shaped backing boards direct the pressure of the press into the shoulders. The aim is to have the shoulders the thickness of the boards. One can mark these on the book first and endeavour to make the shoulders this deep, or back the book to the depth the book wants and then make the boards the matching thickness. Once the book is in the press, you can use your thumbs or a bone folder to start backing a bit more. At some point, you will usually use a backing hammer. A backing hammer has a domed face so the blows can be focused to a small area of the spine. Using glancing blows either side of the center line of the spine, start to bend the back of the sections over. Hammering directly into the spine, like hammering a nail, is likely to crush the back of the sections, which you really want to avoid. Start with light blows moving back and forth and work out towards the edges of the spine. The very ends of the spine don't have any thread inside the sections, and this is the hardest area to back, also with the most visible results. By starting away from the ends and working out to them, the sections will be encouraged to follow the sections that have already started to lean outwards. Be careful not to strike the slips or the tapes directly on the edge of the backing boards, or they can be cut off. There are a few variations of backing boards. Mine have brass edges so the hammer doesn't chew them up, but it's common to have wood upper surfaces, and these might need planing occasionally as they get beat up. It is also common to have some sort of shoulder to help get everything into position and aligned, but they also come without this feature, and some people prefer these. If you don't want to take a hammer to your book, you can just use thumbs and bone folders. It can be hard work, but having sufficient swell will help. This approach is very useful for thin books where there isn't much of a target to aim for with the hammer. It is common to put a gentle 45-degree shoulder on a book this way. The depth of the shoulder will need to be a bit more so the outer edge of the shoulder ends in the same plane as the outside of the boards. Once the book is backed, the spine is re-glued and usually lined. This sets the new shape of the spine in place. This can be done while the book is still in the press after backing, or the book can be taken out and the shoulders crisped up with the bone folder, and then the spine is lined. Flexibly sewn books, that is, books sewn on raised cords, have a special challenge. The raised cords get in the way of backing. Traditionally, square-faced hammers small enough to work between the cords have been used. These hammers are difficult to obtain, unless you're in France. I use a small-faced cobbler's hammer, a smaller version of my normal hammer. At what stage do you round and back a book? A common approach is to glue the spine, trim the foredge, round the book, trim the head and tail, and then back the book. Rounding is usually done before trimming the head and tail because by distributing the swell, the book block has less of a wedge shape, which makes it easier to cut the head and tail. It is possible to trim all three edges after gluing the spine by using compensation boards which adjust for the swell. There are pros and cons to doing edge decoration at different times during the rounding and backing process. If you want a polished solid gold look to all three edges, the edge gilding has to be done once the book is in its final state, after rounding and backing. The downside is now you must gild the rounded foredge, which is a challenge. Or you can go the complete opposite and do what is called gilding in the rough, which is to gild the edges even before sewing. The edges are then not cut after rounding and backing. The exception is the head, which is often solid gilt when the tail and foredge is gilded in the rough. Before I finish, I just want to mention concave spines, a spine rounded the other way. In 2000, James Brockman presented a lecture making an argument that a concave spine has the advantage of the spine being in the final shape of an open book, saving the book all the work of going from convex to concave. If you have questions about it, the video of the lecture is on YouTube. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. It's a good day to remind you that there's a lot of smart people doing bookbinding, and there's a lot of variation in how things are done based on how and where people are trained. I'm sure there are different views on rounding and backing. I'm confident that my explanations in this video are solid, but I'm sure more knowledgeable people could add to what I've told you. As always, I really appreciate you hitting the like button. If you're able and want to, you can support the making of more videos like this through Patreon or with a one-off contribution, and the details are in the description below. To find videos I've made on specific topics or other projects, the best place to go is the Dad's Bookbinding Video Guide. It's the index to the channel. If you want to be notified of my future videos, please hit the subscribe button and select the notification bell. Until next time, cheerio.